try and wait now to see just exactly which team will chase down this massive breakaway group.
Those are the boys who've got the heart rate monitors on. Carlson, Roger, Martinez, he's in the breakaway. Martinez for two good stride, he fell back. And Marcus Burkhardt has been off the back with Cancellara. So their hearts are already running pretty high. We'll go through all of the competition of the break for you, but I can tell you that Igor Martinez is up there. And the best placed man in the breakaway is Beauregard of France on Bastille Day. We are on for a big race today. These boys are going to fly towards the Col de Colombia. See the breakaway at the main field here. The breakaway has 15 riders in it, representing 13 teams. It's going to be a long, hot day of chasing, I think, towards the Col de la Colombia.
Yeah, I'm just starting in a minute or two.
Certainly saw Vinokurov start. He's in the peloton. He has not been in
So,
trouble.
this next ride is going to be more relaxed.
But of the 189, there's now only 180 riders left in the race because not starting today, Oscar Freire. They still seem to be suffering from that saddle sore injury which has haunted him this last half a season. So Bruno Lobato, Sonia Duval didn't start, and as I say, we were wrongly reported yesterday. Enrico Degano abandoning our computer apologised to us this morning, but in fact he has abandoned now injuries yesterday.
It's interesting to see the team predictor come up to the front end, people questioning whether or not they would have the power to look after the Gallagher after using an awful lot of energy on the flat stages to try and keep Roy McEwen up for his stage victory into Canterbury, but of course for his attempt to win the points jersey for a fourth time.
Just looking at the gap here, it's up to 8:25 now, as the Lotto boys are having to work on the front now. Well, it's time to tell you on the left of our picture, this is the breakaway of 15 riders. Very brief view for you there, as we continue to trace the beautiful chateaus here, and this is the Chateau de Montveron. There's plenty of them around this area. This was built, when they built this one up in the year 1000, and then it was completely set up in 1316, and it really has been protected through the years. In 1928, 1929, it was renovated. Montveron Chateau.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is one of the inhabitants of the Chateau, Baron de Saxe, was a man who ousted the Saracens from the mountains here around Montveron. That was around the year 1000. So quite a few battles in this part of the world.
Well, we're right, Paul, the Saracens is a very famous rugby team. They're not too far from either anyway. Back to the race here, an interesting day developing. 13 teams represented. Predictor Lotto has got nobody in it. And of course they're now working to try and limit the escape without using Cadell Evans, of course. He is the man for the overall classification. The best man in the breakaway, and it is Bastille Day, is the Frenchman Benoit Varenard. He started the day just 52 seconds behind Cancellara, so he's now the leader on the road of the Tour de France. The yellow jersey of Cancellara is extremely fragile today. He was left by a minute once the pressure went on the third category climb. We're just arriving here at the sprint at angle 4, last kilometre.
Bastille Day, well, the 14th of July is the equivalent to the American 4th of July. It's the biggest French national holiday. It's when the peasants actually, during the revolution, stormed at the Place de la Bastille, and they introduced that nice little machine they used to use here for a long time called the guillotine, and cut off a few people's heads.
This is Linus Gerdeman of T-Mobile, deciding he wants to get the sprint. It's not a big resistance from the field, but he'll get the points when he hits the line. 6 points for the green jersey, 6 seconds time bonus as well. Linus Gerdeman, he's a promising rider. That's right, he had a great Tour of Switzerland a couple of years ago. It's now time to assure by riding the Tour de Fate. They're just a little more than 2 kilometres now from the top of the Crusade climb, which will take us through 75 kilometres today, and leave us with 48 miles to race to the finish. The Predictor Lotto team wanted this race needed to be down to 5 minutes before they get to the base of the Col de la Colombia. And also they are 4.4 miles this climb, and it goes up to 2,487 feet, as an average going of 4.4 distance. Eco Martinez is really very strong in this group. The team is 30 now, just checking out the riders from the race.
Team Barlow Royal. I don't know if you noticed on their jerseys that we brought in a brand new sponsor for the tour. No, right, it's Team Barlow Royal in the booth this afternoon. Well, we do know that Garrett Thomas and Robbie Hunter are fairly comfortably in the main field. Hunter's so close on a number of occasions to getting himself a stage victory.
A little unlucky actually. Felix Cardenas, the big climber, he went away. And even if you don't know which way he's going to work, you can't try to roll in for the legs. Cardenas went away and he chose the wrong one. They brought it back. And then he going on and he starts coming to establish the breakaway, which is on at the moment. But then again, it might be just short of not being the break because they're saving energy. I think this bunch will see that later. At least half the bunch will, once they get on the slopes of Colombia. I think if the skips and the slow groups and the big stars will start playing on, everyone is drawn. They're running pretty close to the front. Lunas Williams and Nick Rock to win that hot spot at angle 4. Now sitting at the back of the leading break.
Well, the Frenchman, Navarre, the France, Fernando Fuente has moved like a bunch of himself some points. And if you remember last year, Phil, I was just saying earlier, he finished third overall in the England construction race. It was may well be a little surprise and a bit of a problem for Michael Matthews to win the tour.
That's more like what we probably expected also. 2 points in the back here. Third category prize at the top here. In the advantage. So the other one, any more effort than it has to. As they will attempt to take the third category climb and will shortly on the fourth category climb of the run. Here now, making their way indeed over the top of the climb. And so the message is waiting to reveal an entry to the game. Well, we're over the top of the Crusade, the next up the big one, that's going to be 16, so good well 17. I think the job done there by Cancellara, it was really interesting in the chase. Just on the kilometre marks on the climb up the big one, we're on the climb now, there it is, 1 kilometre to the summit. It's only a short climb, and meanwhile, there are lots more drinks on the pressure stage on the front.
Well, when you'll have to actually take a drink on board until you go over the top of the very good Fuente on the frontier, left in the King of the Mountains last year in the tour, and he'll be thinking about trying to pick himself up a few points on this road this afternoon, because he too will try and probably steal over the next couple of days the lead away from Sylvain Chavanel, which should be fairly solid for at least, well, it will be solid for at least today. I'm not sure about tomorrow. It depends on who goes over the top of the big mountain passes in first place. The Wakeman has gone, in fact, from the front straight to the back. He was right, if you remember a couple of days ago, we were charging into Horton. He made a massive big attack on the slope to the final climb of the day. He quite a little that strong water, so he almost put it into reverse and went straight back to the main field and actually finished with Alexander Vinokourov a minute 20 seconds behind.
I think the audience has realised that the moon just quoted him. None of the last 10 drinks are on the climb, so he's had to get on with his rider to go now. And then that's good. When you go down the other side, they're going to try to back you.
Well, as you can see now, it's moving up to the front of the improvements. Perez from Team Crystal Palace, but he looks changed over. But as soon as he decides of the finish band came out with the yellow jersey, look at the acceleration here of that champion to that Fuente. He really wants to get maximum points here. He's only 3 points at the top of the fourth category run, but just look how his man dances away from everybody else. He really has got the acceleration that goes next to him, but he's not leaving anything at all up to chance. Today he will have pulled 7 points into the bag, not very much, but it may well be pulled at the end of the tour.
It's a start. He was third in the mountains last year. He might want to notch up to be the best climber in the tour this year. We know he can climb the high mountains, so he's off to a good start. Now, is he easing up or is he going to wait for the boys there? 6:16 is the gap. Still preoccupied with the drinks. In fact, he got one there. Oh, he's still in there somewhere. The cameras haven't picked him up, but we know that he's riding reasonably settled in the peloton. 6 minutes and 5 seconds now. They're closing in. 38 kilometres to go to the finish for this leading group. And a little move here, tempting the riders to come with him. It looks like Perez. Well, I think they're getting a bit twitchy in this breakaway, Paul, because the gap is coming down now, and shortly we're going to be inside the 6-minute mark.
Well, they're all starting to worry a fraction. They will be receiving information from their team managers that the main field is absolutely flying along in very angry mood. And now these guys are starting to think, well, we've worked like crazy throughout the whole of this stage here this afternoon. What we've got in front of us is a 10-mile, 16-kilometre climb, and they're all thinking, oh, I wonder if I've worked just a little bit too hard in this group this afternoon. Maybe I need to rest for the next kilometre or so.
Well, a lot of chat's going on here. Juan Antonio Fletcher wants something from the crowd, but decided I better get on with this because there's suddenly been an acceleration in the breakaway, and he's been caught just off the back. 6 minutes, 5 seconds. And this is a bit of a serious break here because he's thinking nobody expected this on the flat roads because the idea here, and it is the Ruben Perez who's made the move, the idea was to go up all as a group of 15 to the Col de Colombia, but he decided on these roller coasters to just try and see just how strong some of those riders sitting around the back really are. He put Fletcher in more than a spot apologist then. Fletcher wanted a drink and thought better of it. And they're having to haul him back in here. That's Fletcher just behind, number 55. Renard, the leader in the breakaway, best placed overall this morning. He's the yellow jersey elect at this minute. 6 minutes and 6 seconds. So this little reaction here by Perez has been a good move because he started to hold the gap again. That's Bram Tanking jumping off the front, and that's how he reached the breakaway. I'm not too sure why instead of his decided we wanted to look at the Alps Mahai, just as we get a little sprint off the front of the breakaway. But that is I think the E40 motorway then. Well, as we've left the breakaway, and we have no control over that, we'll just remind you we are heading now for the Col de la Colombia with speed, and there's already a move, and this is an immediate attack here, and off the back straight away goes Fletcher, just about. 4 minutes 21 is the gap. Well, as we see the attack at the front pole, I noticed also at the back there that Perez has done an awful lot of work in this group. He's the first to go along with Fletcher, while Landeluz, former winner in this very area of the Dauphiné Libé race a few years ago, is the orange jersey trying to come up to the leader.
Well, Jose Van Gutierrez, the rider here for Case d'Epargne, was the second best rider in the overall standings. He was just a second behind Renard, and he realises he's got a very good chance here, Phil, of creating the massive surprise. We said at the start today we couldn't really predict who was going to win today's stakes, and it may well be that one of these riders may be the new leader at the end of the day. Just looking at the back here, there's a little bit of a problem here, and this is a surprise to me because Paolo Salvatelli has actually put it into reverse gear.
Yes, and he came up to that group and he's been put into trouble as soon as the pace except we're only a couple of kilometres onto the climb of 16 here in Colombia. So it might be a mental thing here. He knows what's to come, he knows how he's feeling, it's obviously not good. And Gutierrez here has been joined by David de la Fuente. Good news here for David Miller's team because he's now got a man up here. And these could be the riders who will survive the attacks from the peloton.
Well, David de la Fuente is looking a lot further down the road. Salvatelli not enjoying the climb here. Let's not forget he rode the Giro d'Italia early on in the season. Here I think he's just going to try and survive the Col de la Colombia. He's been in that break throughout the whole of the afternoon, moving forward. Renard, who was the best placed rider in the breakaway, was hoping to wave the tricolore for France this afternoon. Well, that's not going to happen.
No, that's gone off. That's Theo Day. He's one of the early ones. Dropped up. Those 15 are cracked wide open here as we move through the following cars with our camera right. He doesn't give any respect to anybody, does he? Plows his way through. And they have cracked as well here because this is Jerome Pino also slipping off back. One last man to catch that front group. We're looking at the peloton here now, getting a little bit irritated, shall we say. Gutierrez and de la Fuente have got clear of the front group.
Well, there's going to be a lot of chaos. The yellow jersey now is definitely going to change at the end of the day because Fabian Cancellara decided on today's stage he was going to work for Team CSC. Well, goodbye, Fabian. Well done. Thanks for the first week of the tour.
Absolutely. Now just will set his own tempo. There's Tom Bonan also having a chat with Lenny Foster there. And these boys, Bradley Wiggins in the centre here too, they're going to survive to get home now. Au revoir. A bientôt. See him tonight, and he'll be in inside the time limit for sure. There's so many different Tours de France enacting now, and 3 riders at the front, and Gerdemans has joined.
Well, Gerdemans is a very good rider, but the moves are already feel starting at the front end of the peloton as well. A lot of orange jerseys there on the front end of the main field, and it's AG Tuara have decided to launch somebody out on their attack. It looks like Calzati.
So, the mosaic's very pretty, but there's nothing we can do about that. The picture of temporary loss is back again now. As you see, a mere 27 kilometres left to ride. But what a Brucey way to the finish. 3 riders clear. Linus Gerdemans has been tipped as a great bike rider of the future. Maybe today he's going to show it. He was the only T-Mobile rider in that leading break.
Well, the big question now is, will they have enough to survive? There's about 17 miles to go to the finish. There's a rider clawing his way across it as well. And I'm just trying to see, it's the green and white jersey of Dimitri Popnov. And Gerdemans has said, thank you very much, I've got the legs here this afternoon. At the moment that Popnov made the junction, Gerdemans has actually launched an attack.
Well, I'm not sure what is the wiseness of that at the moment. Gerdemans, we know he's not a bad climber. He had a great Tour de Suisse as a youngster. He's only 24 and a half right now. But in 2005, that's when we first saw him on the 7th day of the Tour de Suisse. He's a man of the hills. As we cut back to the man who's entertained us for 8 days of the Tour de France. He's got 8 yellow jerseys, and that's the last one for Fabien Cancellara. We've been calling him Fabulous Cancellara, haven't we? But this is the breakaway. And look at this.
Is going for it now.
Another most unlikely rider here for Crédit Agricole. Gerdemans is not afraid of what lies in front of him at all. And De La Fuente and Gutierrez, so much to my amazement, don't like the change of pace.
Well, they started there. It's all to do with the gradients, and they will probably prefer the slightly steeper gradient once we get up to the summit. Just to go through the gradient of this climb for the early part of the climb, it's only about 6 or 7% in gradient. Once we get up to the last part of the climb, after 8 kilometres, it then starts to kick up to become just that little bit more difficult. And the average over the last half of the climb is 8.5%, and that may well be turning into the favour of the Spanish riders. But Fofenot on the front here has been a professional since 1998, and he's only ever really won 4 races, but he hasn't won a race since 2002.
And he's setting up first now. There is Eric Charvel in the middle in the blue, who's pushing for the green jersey, riding within himself. We heard early on that Mark Cavendish was dropped, but we did speak to Brian Home, his team manager, said he got back and he was feeling a lot better. And so he's come to the foot of the mountain in the big pack. I don't think he'll stay there. He's very, very young, but he will get through the mountains. Chopin won't be too far away from these 2 men now. It's a bit of a surprise. Gerdemans is climbing to yellow. In his first Tour de France, this could be amazing. It didn't look like the man has under any pressure at all here. So really climbing rhythm he has got. Just over 5 kilometres to go to the Col de Colombia. They are climbing this mountain so quickly at the moment.
When they're just reaching the slightly steeper part, and in terms of the smaller gears, this climb now is starting to bite in dramatically.
So just on the 5.5 kilometres from the top of the climb, as Gerdemans is trying an acceleration. This is a slightly steeper section. What is wrong with this guy? Well, he doesn't want to do anybody else to come up here.
Well, he was riding up alongside Fofenot to see whether or not
I think trying to get those riders ahead. A little bit closer to me.
riders, Inigo and Andaluz in the orange, David de la Fuente in the yellow. But the main field is having a serious sort out. Levi Leipheimer is still here. We know that Denny Menchov is still here. I caught a sign of George Hincapie a few moments ago, so I think he's still got a foot on the back step of the bus here this afternoon. But I'm amazed to see the riders from Astana have actually recovered from those serious injuries they had a couple of days ago.
Is also here on the comedies for team
Lost my brush. a small hill comes up, leaving about 30 or 40 metres. It's not less. I'm going to go to the small ring just to give our legs a chance to relax.
So we are looking here now, Andalus here now, continuing down the mountain, but he's not going to get on time, I don't think. This rider's slowly cooked, he's the best placed overall, and he's going to head now into the leader's yellow jersey. Another tight turn.
This is not 8 times. Climb segment anyway. And here is the next one. I know, that's a strange glitch there. Hopefully, profile on the right hand side.
This time history has changed the books because it's going to be a German rider who wins the stage and takes the yellow jersey. And in theory it should have been close. He started in
What the hell is that then?
3 seconds off.
Glitch.
In that back group, as far as we know, although we haven't seen it, in that chase group of the big pack. Here comes the charge now, they're sweeping up virtually everyone, and it's all based upon Valverde and Guerrero, who are leading the charge into town. They're sweeping up as far as I can work out. There's probably 4 riders from the break left in front.
Bloody hell.
Those 4 riders will be hoping they will survive to get some recompense for the work they've done. Here is the left-hand man. The
hell is that?
start to slowly climb up towards the finish line. He should as well feel like a two-pronged attack here because not only the winner of the stage, the yellow jersey, but he also take over the lead in the white jersey competition as well. So what a day for this young man. And what a day really for Team Mobile who put this structure together because at the end of the day, Bob Staples have brought a very young team to the Tour de France this year and they're starting to reap the benefits. Let's not forget though, Mick Rogers is still the man for the overall win if they can keep it all together. 36 seconds over Andalus. He can start to win
100 metres to the line. As you imagine his team manager Brian Home can't believe this. He only had 1 man in the break of 15, and that man is coming home alone now to the cheers of the crowd. The adrenaline will pump, and he races to the line at 24 to 40 years of age. He's got started the day 58 seconds behind the yellow jersey. He gets a bonus of 20, and there's no one near him anyway. He moves clearly into yellow for tomorrow's next day in the Alps. This will go down as his greatest victory. He's only been a pro for 2 seasons. Team Mobile brought a young team to this race. Didn't think they could win it. They better start thinking now because yellow awaits this rider. Gerdeman's is over and safe. Andalus, a climber, has been left on the climb and the descent, but he still gets second.
Well, Andalus did
today. Fabian Weber, there's the peloton of favourites all coming in together. They'll all live for a grand battle in the afternoon, and it will be a big battle tomorrow because they have saved their energy on purpose today, and everybody else has taken advantage. The breakaway today wins at around 46 kilometres in, and as we see, Gentleman survived the day with a victory. And Weber was in the break too, but I thought he'd been caught.
He was caught and then he went straight out to the back again. He obviously wanted to pay for his breakaway escape this afternoon. At the front you can see Team Discovery Channel leading into this final corner. Popovic and Levi Lackhyman. Did see Carlos Sainz. I'm not sure if we will see whether or not Frank Schlick is in there. But this time one of the 15-man breakaway wants to get his place in the top 10 at the end of the day. Strangely enough, wearing the German national champion's jersey, and Andreas Kloden was keeping his second here.
Okay, so this is mostly a recovery not the second round. Really,
It looks as though it's riding on boy Telecom. I'm not too sure who it is who brings them home here.
The rider in there from Quickstep was Garati, who was coming
you
across
know,
the
I
line.
lost
Bailey's coming up too. He had a big chance.
my
So nice to see Sean
paces.
there in the lime green jersey of Team Liquigas, and another rider coming up from Kingston Piny. By the way, Kingston Piny had 3 serious contenders in that group because not only did they have Oscar Pereira, Alejandro Valverde, but also Vladimir House.
And he looked over his shoulder. He actually just said on German television, the last kilometre was like 2 hours. Another congratulations to Brian Owen. They have a stage that they never expected, and they're leading with a 2 classifications, the white jersey and the yellow jersey. This is our thing. It's on satellite, it's down there, and we'll get it 42 and 26 miles an hour. Blackpool in second race, 47 Blackpool, and then third along 39. Those in Australia, all on board, we're losing on 19. Australia, 240.
We'll put back into the slow singing.
Slips a little second young rider for him now. Then seventh back out on stage. Now it's the Maillot Jaune. He kisses the sleeves of the Maillot Jaune and he pulls on the golden fleece. And that will be hanging proudly on his bed tonight. He'll look at it and say, boy, will you be sitting there tomorrow night?
Well, it's a massive day tomorrow. He cannot believe this. He's cherishing the moment. He won a stage in the Tour of Switzerland a couple of years ago. That's when people started talking about this young kid being a star of the future. When he won that stage in Switzerland, Phil, he was only 22 years of age.
Well, Sky, somebody's turn, the temperature up in the oven yet again. They call it the south of France, but crossing in fact from Marseille to Montpellier. We go around one of the most beautiful natural areas of France, the Camargue. This is stage 11 now. It's a very flat stage. Maybe the sprinters will have their day. Certainly these fans expect it that way, and this is Norway's supporters for Tor Hushoff. I hate to tell them, he's complaining of a little bit of a sore throat. If he gets there, that's the finishing straight. He might get a shot at winning at.
Well, for Tom Bowden, he knows if you want to win the green jersey competition, you've actually got to chip away on every stage, even if it's not for the winning. Yesterday, actually pulled out a big sprint to try and get himself 12th place, but Eric Zabel is still in there. He's a long way behind, 160 plays, 144 points, and Robbie Hunter, the South African rider there, is looking back quite good in third place with 114. But today, being a flat stage, there's an awful lot of sprints available. Two intermediate sprints at La Falaise Olivier and another sprint at Arles will give the riders 6, 4 and 2 points. But on these flat stages, it's all racked up on the finish line. From 1st to 5th, you go from 35 points to 22 points. Going down right to the finish of 25th place, you can take up a single point.
They've had 3 stage wins so far, trying to set this one up. They won with 3 different riders, Cedric Nasser, Gert Stevens and Tom Bowden. They're trying to set this one up though for the man in green. He's not got much firepower at this distance from the finish though. He's in 3rd place, and the other sprinters are Filippo Pizzato moving up.
Hunter is locked onto the wheel there of Tom Bowden. This again, he said, you don't get very many opportunities in a race like the Tour de France, but someone else has just jumped down the left-hand, right-hand side of the road. This could be a big surprise. Look at quick step, but he cannot panic if the rush is making a far off.
Well, look at that. Go for it, Alexander. 3.9 kilometres. Is this why he set it up? Revenge could be sweet. What a turn of speed by Alexander.
This is unbelievable. He's 21st place in the overall standings, and he's gone out to the front end of the main field. His team toughened it up. It's putting pressure on the sprinters right now. I don't think he's going to pull it off, but this is a brave move.
Boy, this will win a lot of friends, because this is the Indian man, the odds-on favourite to win the Tour de France. He's lost his chance. I think he's 8 minutes back now. It was his team that split the field today. He's put Moro out of contention, and now the cheeky bit. He's trying to win on his own here.
I wonder if I have enough energy or leg strength to attack the climb techniques. I'm going to get a, as I say, top 10 place. That's it. It's only been 7 riders on the street anyway. So my only goal is to beat Mike and his officials.
Because when I saw the split a little bit earlier on, I saw the black and white jersey of the champion of New Zealand. I can't see him here, but with Team Credit Agricole setting up the pacemaking like that, I'm sure that Julia Dean must be thinking about the possibility of a victory. Team Liquigas are right up there as well in 3rd, 4th and 5th place, but Monica Burnham is right there still.
The opportunity a big thing for a few seconds just to move through the ranks. They look like too far behind, and then back into his touring.
Julian Dean is right there, that white jersey with the black collars. This could be a great day for New Zealand if he can get it right. There's an attack going with a tremendous change of speed, because we're heading for the tunnel.
Well, CSC have taken a look at that advantage. The acceleration now is putting a lot of riders under pressure. Robbie Hunter must not panic. He must stay there and wait and gamble on this all coming together. We've gone underneath the tunnel. Who's going to come out first? 3 riders with about a 10-length advantage over the front end of the main field. But very quickly, it's all back together.
It was Cancellara who launched the attack there, which he was also 1 kilometre to go. Now this is a right-hander, then we've got another right-hander at 500, and that's a bit of they've gone far too wide, and there's a bit of crash down on the barriers, and we don't know who's taken out, but it's given Leaping Gas the lead.
Well, that was a sweeping bend over to the left-hand side. A number of riders have gone out, but it's Leaping Gas who've got the organisation. Robbie Hunter's right in there, filling about 6th position.
Well, Freddy Rodriguez is a faller from what I can hear at that very bend as they continue to line up for the finish now. And this is a huge turnout, but this is not going to be a routine finish. Tom Bowden at the moment is not in the hunt for this.
Bono is one of the riders around that corner in an unbelievable speed, and they were caught out, I think, by the severity. But what a brilliant sprint by Robbie Hunter. He was right at the front, and he was never very far away. This is the crash, so we're having a look down who's on the ground here. And Linka over on the left-hand side, that's Freddie Rodriguez who's gone down. Julian Dean went down as well. There he is in the black and white, the Kiwi. Ventoso has gone down also, but this was the chaos inside. And this is Frank Schlecki was also involved. He was at the front end of the group, and that's not really a place where he should have been.
Well, Marcel Seaver, the tallest man in the race, was down there as well. Freddie was a little bit stuck. These are the riders coming in and out. Let's hope that they're all okay. Julian Dean was right in the position there. Went too wide. Just take a look at that. They swept out far too wide. They took the barriers. Foot on the ground there for Tom Cronin, and he's brought to a stop. I'm not sure Tom actually fell off.
Well, I'm not sure if he did go down, but one thing we know for absolute certainty that the man in red and white of Team Marlow World, Robbie Hunter, lunges for the line. And is that man happy? I think so.
Well, wouldn't you be? Because Robbie Hunter has just got South Africa's first ever stage win in the Tour de France.
Let's have a look at that again. This is how we come around the corner here. You can see right up at the front end. We'll get a chance to see who made the mistake there. That's the final corner. Robbie Hunter has got a clear lead at this point. People Potato is battling to get onto his wheel. Give Robbie Hunter a clear dash for the line. And excuse me, he's got every bites all over the place. He really is like Jolodine Abdul Dapper, but he's got the win. That's exactly what he wanted.
He's a little bit straighter when he sprints. Robbie Hunter there. What a great win. And here he's forgotten the excitement of the sprint. But here comes the Christopher Marlowe group. The clock is counting now. Already over 2 minutes has passed by. He is going to lose more than 3 minutes today. Robbie Hunter. Christophe Marlowe Paul in the end of the elastic snap big time.
It certainly did. He had to keep battling all the way down towards the end. But I think he's a courageous rider. 36 years of age in riding. He's got an awful lot of talent. So still injured riders picking themselves up from that crash. A lot of riders in this group. This is a massive group that were caught out by the acceleration of Team Aston. And Christophe Marlowe will be looking at the clock, and it's already 2.5 minutes. It's probably still going to be 3 minutes on the line.
He's still got quite a way to go, half a kilometre or so. The crash unfortunately dislodging two sprinters in perfect position. Julian Dean and Freddie Rodriguez. They just went overshot the corner, swung wide, hit the barriers. Corner, caught out, and Hunter ended a perfect day.
Okay,
It's not been a perfect day for
dropping the
Christophe Marlowe.
other riders back, because I'm going to do just a coasting through. I don't want you to get too far ahead.
They were all in the front group, only Moreau missed out.
Julio Fischer was very close to Liquigas, just ahead of his teammate Ponzato, Alessandro Malampre, getting into the top 5 there. Further down, Bossoni, the other sprint on Lampe. Also Philippe Gilbert, despite being in the break, finished off with 8th place Tim Kirken. Sprinting well, completing the top 10. Everybody given the same time. Indeed, as we ordered before this today. And there is the top 15 for you with Andrei Kashikin of Kazakhstan still riding well. These are all plays at small time gaps, so they must have split the field. I think before the end of the day, they were all got in at the same time.
There's a lot of riders who feel caught out because of the severity of the wind on today's stage. That was the main enemy of the riders this afternoon, because that howling Mistral that blew across the race split this race to complete and utter smithereens. 10 minutes lost for these guys, and still there are guys coming in.
Well, of course, all the riders that got straight out won't get the same time, but everybody who fell in that last kilometre will get the same time, because that's the international rule. It applied already during the Tour de France this year, so I think all of the front runners in the end will be given the same time. But one happy man there, Robbie Hunter, he's never won a stage for the Tour before. He's got a couple of stages in the Vuelta a España, and last year he was a tremendous rider for Floyd Landis. There will be no change here. Mayo is third, Evans is fourth, Contador. All the time gaps are still the same. Will Dixon, Mike Ryder now moves up from 9 to 10 today.
to indicate you can't bank on tactics in the Tour de France as we look a little bit further down. Frank Schleck, who's also lost a bit of time. He's at 7:01. Denny Mitchell, a pre-race rider, but Alexander Vinokourov is 19th.
Temperature is not so hot on the Tour de France today. The peloton are very hot indeed. The 94th edition of the Tour de France is turning out to be a great competition. This is Castres, this beautiful town in the far south of France, waiting now to welcome the Tour de France. These are the jerseys you can buy, and if you can't see any yellow ones here, well, let's find out why. There they are. The last two sold moments ago, as now Castres is ready to receive the Tour de France. Well, these are the big contenders behind the leader Rasmussen. Alejandro Valverde is in second place. Cadel Evans in the highest position for Australia in fourth. Carlos Sastre very much there in sixth. Levi Leipheimer, Leiphos climbed one place yesterday because of the demise of Christophe Moreau. Vinokourov now up a little bit to 19th, although he's looking for 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Now, the man who is also in the yellow jersey is also in the polka dot jersey. Michael Rasmussen. Is he going to go for the King of the Mountains today, do you think?
It's going to be very difficult for Michael Rasmussen because he has to bear in mind that with 98 points over 79 points, he will get challenged. I have a feeling he may not be the man for the yellow jersey, so if I was Rasmussen's team management, I'd ask him to keep chipping away at the mountains classification anyway.
Just in case. Well, let's remind ourselves how it scored today. There are 3 fourth category climbs, and they come at the kilometre 27, 58, 74. You get these climbs, you get 3 drop-off points. You get 1 category 2 climb for because the last category 2 climb of the day. The points are double. Basically, this is the first 12 and let's take the man who won all the hell today at the chance of the car with my yellow jersey and the rest of this probably thanking Christian Dupont there for supporting me with the positive from our hands with the game in cycling of federation. And Dupont way out after a long ride for today around 11 kilometres in July. The ride was underway. The Victor line number 1 was cleared on 121 kilometres of Johnson to the king. The cheaper ahead of David Miller and Stan Sheehan to the organ over the top. The local line progressed yesterday, but it didn't stop his race to get back into the second half of the day. Another breakaway was quite clear. The orange jersey, there was 2, but Antigua was ready and Puerto Rico getting second place. The former champion of France, Blanche, and a former state winner. 47 seconds ahead of the peloton there, but by the time they got to the next one, which is where we are at the moment, 74 kilometres into the race, Toluca again ahead of Rodrigo, and the peloton hasn't arrived there yet because the last gap we had over 6 minutes was now the lead of these 2 riders.
I think the main field fairly happy. But look at the weather conditions, a little bit cooler as well for the riders, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a possibility of rain in the latter part of the afternoon, and the wind is a westerly wind at 14 miles per hour, and that, I think, will really be very much of a headwind on the running down towards the finish. The main field saw a lot of attacks in the first few kilometres of the race, but now that they've got just a 2-man breakaway, I think they're taking a fraction of a back seat, and they're going to allow this race to develop. And I'm sure they will speed it up once we get to the second category line.
I'm sure you're right. 189 started the tour, although 168 at the start today. We're down to 167. 7 of the teams are still intact. The man who's given up today on Garato, he crashed, he got back into the peloton, got back to the doctor. The next thing he knew, he was getting in the ambulance. So I don't quite know what his injuries are, but he abandoned the race. These are the leaders, and we're just on 100 kilometres from the finish. Once they two finally got away after some exciting riding in the opening hour of the race, the peloton suddenly shut down, but it said that they had 3 minutes, and now the last time check we've got, they are approaching the 7.
I think the reason for that is that they're quite happy to have a small breakaway going through. You see, in fact, that breakaway group is extended to about the 8-minute mark now. On the front there, we've got a chance to see the riders across the main field, but we've got a chance to look at some heart rates this afternoon. Sergio Cardi now with the Rodrigo, Christian Keys and Morale from Scratch, and Marcus Will are the number of occasions. That's the front of the main field of all the showing, but he has got a very good pair of wheels.
And the pack is still there, around 5 minutes behind. I don't quite know what Marcus is doing today because he's got himself 2.5 minutes ahead of the pack, but he's still 5.5 minutes behind the 2 leaders. There's the peloton on the way to the beautiful Tom department to the start of the interesting to see about this young rider at the back here, Chiruka. He's the lightest man in the race, as I said, and he must have lost a little bit since we started from London 13 days ago, Paul. We're on the climb itself, the Monte de la Jonte, 10 kilometres to go.
Well, I'm not sure that the gravity of the climb, the steepness of the climb will advantage the small rider from Muscatelli, but there's the banner, and it indicates 10 kilometres to go, so we'll be rather high on this occasion. But I'm not sure you're
Well, no, I don't agree. I think they've been climbing for good already.
It's on the climb further than out, exactly. That's true. Well, this young man, he is a very good climber. Federico, on the other hand, is an experienced professional rider. He's got a lot of strength in those legs of his, and we will be looking to stay in contact here. But what's more important is the time that these riders are losing. The official time gap on the black wall there is 6:05, but race radio is telling us that it's 5 minutes and 50 seconds. There's always a delay between the board there that indicates the time to the rider and what race radio gives us. Race radio is more likely to be exact.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, these two riders are hitting this hard, and the crowd has chosen this climb to turn out in quite large numbers. Shalom on the flag of Denmark, off to the right, supporting Michael Rasmussen. And here comes the big pack. They're on a little slope here, but they're still about, what would it be, 3.5 kilometres or maybe slightly more behind those two front runners.
Marcus Burkhardt now at the front of the main field and still looking fairly comfortable. A little bit of discussion going on there, so a little bit of picture, Brendan. That's the live signal going from the motorbike to the helicopter down to the finish line. A lot of riders in this group now, Phil, will be rather worried about the fact that they know there's going to be a showdown on the slopes in this second category climb, and will they be able to stay in contact? Chris Horner is not far away. He's looking after his man, Cadell Evans, who, let's not forget, is only 6 seconds off second place in the overall classification. There he is over on the right-hand side.
It's good to see that. Cadell Evans, I really feel, believes in himself this year, and he can win this Tour de France. He won't make any silly mistakes if they do split off this climb, because tomorrow, like a lot of the favourite riders, he can ride a time trial, and that's when he can be shot on the back. Not yet today, don't make any mistakes.
Well, the series of the 2 leaders, and you can see the gap is coming down consistently for the 2 leaders. 5.5 minutes, which is going to be on your floor there on Cadell Evans. Cadell Evans is a very good individual time trialist, and although he's 6 seconds on Alejandro Valverde, and more importantly, Phil, he's a minute and 9 seconds ahead of the average point. They were almost the same time in the first time trial.
Right, that's 223 meters to climb. So I'd say this hill is going to be about 180 to 190 meters to climbing. 174. Can I get to go carrying around? Second career run.
Starting off in 8th place, is only looking for 1 minute and 18 seconds to climb up to the top.
And in 19th place there, Alexander Vinokurov, if he's going to fight back into this race, it must be today when he starts to reduce that 8 minutes and 5 seconds deficit. It's the race of truth, and we've seen some terrific performances today, and one we haven't had an awful lot about has come from the young Spanish rider Alberto Contador. We know Alexander Vinokurov has won the stage. Contador tonight will move up to 3rd place overall behind Cadel Evans and Rasmussen. Look at this for a finish. This man went out on a mission today. He now says he's got his legs back, he's got his confidence back, he's no fears for tomorrow in the Pyrenees. Vinokurov on fire. So as we look out now, let's have a look now at the Honda ATV results. I think they're about to come up. There they are. And Vinokurov wins in 1 hour, 6 minutes, 34 seconds. Cadel Evans at 1:14. Andreas Klone at 1:39. Kashiki, another great rider. Cash at 1:44. Bradley Wing, the long-time leader, ends up in 5th place at 2 minutes 14. The 4 names of 100 now are serious contenders now for this year's Tour de France. And the gaps are there. Yaroslav Popovic, that was 2:16. Contador rode well, was 2:18 as a climber. Chabanel, former time-trial champion of France, might be the Frenchman tonight. Levi Light Pirate is time clear. 2:39 out of the He's got 3 races this year. He thought his tour was over in the Alps. Everybody was waiting for him to announce his retirement. He's back. Well, he came here to win the tour. He started the odds-on favourite. Then he had all of his problems. He crashed the stitches in knees and elbows. And we thought he was fading away. Now he's as bright as the sky. Keeps his yellow jersey for a 6th day. Exactly 1 minute to Liddell Evans. Now he's closed in. Contador comes up into 3rd place. Clone comes up into 4th place. And Levi Leipheimer up from 8th to 5th. And looking for 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Andrei Kashikin up to 6th. Sastra is there as well. Back to the podium. Can't miss a thing of them alive. This is now Rasmussen.
Phil, he knows he needs to get time if he wants to win the Tour de France. He lost 1 minute and 41 seconds there to Cadel Evans, who's now only a minute behind. And look at how much time he lost to Alexander Vinokourov, 2 minutes and 55 seconds. I think before we get up to the final time trial, Michael Rasmussen has to have at least 4 minutes in the bag over everybody.
We now transfer the action to the Pyrenees. This beautiful range of mountains which separate France from Spain. The Spanish are here, the French are here, there's thousands of people here. As we now head for the Plateau Divide. The campers have been coming all week here as they now fill the whole plateau. This is indeed a 70-kilometre area of ski slopes. And we brought the television for the crowds as well, because now they're expecting a great battle. Yes, welcome back to our live coverage here on Versus everyone. We are set for another big day today. Phil Liggett with Paul Sherwin. Well, we've always said that this would be a battle between 8 or 10 riders, and even after the time trial yesterday, we've no reason to change our minds. But Paul, 2 teams particularly significant. They've got 2 men can win. Discovery and of course Astana.
Yeah, it's always been, I think, in the back of the mind of riders from Discovery Channel that Levi Leipheimer was the predetermined leader of the squad. But there are 2 riders, I feel, on that squad who've actually got a wild card to play themselves. Alberto Contador is a phenomenal climber and rode a very good individual time trial yesterday. And of course, let's not forget Jaroslav Popovic, who many people think have got a great future ahead of him. Team Astana, well, we'd actually sort of decided that Alexander Vinokourov was out of this race after the Alps. Well, yesterday, he banged on the team table to say, I'm back. But he's got a co-leader in the shape of Andreas Kloden.
So there's so many combinations that these teams can still play. But the one man who is really doing a great job at the time trial, which he's never done before, is of course Michael Rasmussen. He kept the yellow jersey for the 6th day. Now Paulie knows he can't time trial as well as the others. He has got to attack, hasn't he?
Well, despite riding a great time trial yesterday, Phil, he knows he needs to get time if he wants to win the Tour de France. He lost 1 minute and 41 seconds there to Cadel Evans, who's now only a minute behind. And look at how much time he lost to Alexander Vinokourov, 2 minutes and 55 seconds. I think before we get up to the final time trial, Michael Rasmussen has to have at least 4 minutes in the bag over everybody.
Let's first of all, before we join the live action, have a look back to early today. The rollout, 165 riders, Ventoso, who had the injured wrist.
Okay, so I am slowing down now on purpose because I want the pace group to catch back up to me again. We've got a bit too far behind.
Soler bring him up to exactly the same points as Michael Rasmussen. And of course, watch out for Jaroslav Popovic, who moves up into 3rd place in that competition.
So
I wonder that now that Michael
this
Rasmussen
slow pace
decides to aim for the yellow jersey, if he may well putting his chance of winning the King of the Mountains title for a
there is a reason for it.
Well, it might be the case. If you want it twice, there's not so much reward in 3 times. Not when you've got the yellow.
Because I want them to
Tactics are bound to change.
be able to catch me or get ahead of me
There is a breakaway
before the final sprint.
just now. There's an awful lot of work being done by the chase behind, and Rabobank have found themselves some allies in Sonia Duval today. They've also shared in the chase. Very early on today, Rasmussen got into a breakaway group, and it forced the team of Cadel Evans to work very hard to bring him back. So there's the situation. You're right up to date with us now. We are about 25 kilometres from the start We're now on our first Pyrenean stage, and this is the tour this week. It is a viciously hard section on the route for the next 3 days, interrupted by one rest day. There's the temperature, 71 degrees. It's struggling to reach that at the moment. Partly cloudy, but the sun is beginning to peek through on the top of the plateau. I can tell you, it was very foggy at 7 o'clock here this morning. Well, the rider's heading up here a couple of hours away. Here's the breakaway. Jose Gutierrez, the only man in the break who's ridden the Tour de France before. He's best placed overall. 15 minutes off the yellow jersey, so for a while they might stay away. They've got a nice lead. They've been over 11.
So the final sprint is on a climb.
And the other 4 or 5 riders are all first timers.
And we'll say it's going to be about 10 metres in a sense.
A good choice because he is actually in the breakaway, so we should keep an eye on his heartbeat. So there's a Bernhardt and Rolf Grabsch. I must say there is a tremendous amount of support on the climb up to the finishing in the Côte d'Abeille, which is where we are, for T-Mobile riders. There are literally hundreds of supporters, and Bernhardt is one of the men that they're going to support as they come up.
Well, making their way through these gorges, they are a magnificent backdrop for the race that we're seeing here this afternoon, but I think a lot of riders are very worried about the Port de Payet, but not only the 16.8 kilometres climb up to the summit at an average gradient of 7.2%, it's actually the descent into excellent down as well, which is a very nasty and dangerous descent, and all of these riders realise that. Many of them have ridden this course before, and I think that will be in the back of the minds of the riders in the main field, because I'm sure Alexander Vinokourov will try and take advantage of his good performance yesterday.
I'm sure he will, Paul. Well, the river running alongside the leaders here is the River Aude. It's 220 kilometres long. Down deep in the valley there, I can tell you, the leaders are just past the sign which says 18 kilometres
to go
on the Port de Payet. So they've started the climb, while the peloton are going to be running for about another 6.5 minutes, but they are coming up. There's a little look at the lower slopes of the Port de Payet as the riders start to move onto the climb now, but it's a long way to the top of it, 10 miles uphill as we head up towards the whole category, or outside category, red dot there, and then we'll cross to the next one, which is the finish on the Plateau de Bay. Alright, don't forget, Saab Watch and Win sweepstakes. Over you go to versus.com/flight to the finish. And to play the game, you need the keyword, which is Pyrenees. Well, I should have said Pyrenees, but it is Pyrenees. There it is. Enjoy the game. These boys aren't enjoying this game right now. Yes, they're finals, of course. They're burning to the next few kilometres. Because sitting up the back here, we're looking at the stronger rider in the breakaway. This is Antonio Colon. Now, just who is the leader of the Fiestana team? Is it Alexander?
Okay, so 11 metres.
Is it Andrew? So there they are.
The
Riders now, the one descending for Ivan Mayo. Who slipped a little bit and dropped down to 12th from 3rd. Not too bad times are. He's going to try and make amends today. That's apparent now.
10 metres.
To attack today. Well, that's a bit early to see Sim slip away, but it certainly was. We'll have a friend on the front of the group as well. It's good only to see the hostilities here. The league against riders who's suffering at the back. This is Krashinsky. He's alongside Antonio Colon. And Carlos Pereira is the man who seemed the dangerous speed so early on. He took straight across the gap. Well, Krashinsky doing well to hang on. I thought he was going to go right out at the outset of this, but no, Antonio Colon just in front of him. And the trouble is always being called Dubai Chiruka. He has the red number on his back, red for danger perhaps, number 78, and also the most experienced rider in the breakaway. In the black is Jose Ivan Gutierrez.
Well, one of the riders, like many of the riders in the main field, who's got bandages on his body. There have been so many crashes. We're still looking at 13 kilometres to go to the summit of the Port de Payet. It's a long climb, but it's made more difficult by the fact that it peaks out at just over 2,000 metres of altitude. I wonder if Krashinsky is saying to himself, oh, what am I doing here this afternoon? Why did I do this? They found himself in a much larger breakaway. But then just got weighted down to these 6 men. At least he looks like an absolute
too. A lot of support for him on the last climb today.
Well, I did tell him a couple of days ago that wasn't a great move. A bit of energy you waste, you know.
Well, they're splitting up, and I didn't expect some of those names to drop back. I also saw Anthony Chateau, the winner of the Tour de Langkawi, slipping back to Freddie Agnew, riding that green jersey. These are the leaders. They cannot maintain because they're being drawn like a magnet to where they live. And now this is Perez who's gone now. Giroud tried it. Perez has now moved off to see if he can make any progress.
Well, these guys know that when they get to the Plateau de Bay, the slopes of the climb will be orange with orange t-shirts supporting the team, which is regarded as being the Basque team, and they are riding into not too far away from the Basque land.
All of the riders in the top of the classification, they're still based in that big pack, which is thinned out dramatically, but they're sitting there near the front and behind the riders in the yellow jerseys who are setting the pace. Nobody has made an aggressive move from the peloton yet.
Because they can't find a common rhythm. But fortunately, as they get closer to the summit, they're still there, still in contact. But I'm sure they'll have a bit of a laugh about this tonight at the dinner table.
Well, there might still be a way the way they're climbing. And look at this now, just dropping away off the back. De La Fuente's gone, and now it looks as though Vinokourov, he's not panicking, but he looks to me as though he is losing a few meters. The elastic has started to stretch here.
Well,
he's lost the pace a bit. He's got a teammate with him.
And he's got David De La Fuente just behind him there as well. The teammate who's dropped back to help him is Daniel Navarro. He's a Spanish rider on the squad. It's not surprising, really, because yesterday Alexander Vinokourov gave a phenomenal demonstration in the individual time trial. And maybe it's one of those things, Phil, where he's concentrated on his time trialing in the last couple of months to get himself ready for the Tour de France. And all of a sudden, he spent too much energy yesterday. He's going to have to try and ride himself back into this race. But he is a rider of experience and class, and he won't give up. And there is a nasty climb, a nasty descent after this climb, which he could use to catch back up.
Well, the rider with him isn't going to be a lot of help, quite honestly. He's not very strong, Daniel Navarro. The rider in front is Igor Martinez, who's also coming back, and he's a strong climber. And all this is being done by Britain's David Miller, getting rid of some of the big names here. You can see the wind, it's not so bad on this col, gentle from the left, but it is very, very strong on top of the Plateau de Bay.
Well, looking back there in 8th or 9th position, you can see George Hincapie in the red, white and blue. He's riding exceptionally well. It's important for Team Hincapie too. You talked a little earlier, Phil, about the team classification, and yes, Astana did take the lead in the team classification yesterday. That's why they've got the yellow numbers on, but only by 54 seconds from Team Discovery Channel. And Team Discovery Channel have got a lot of cards to play here this afternoon, especially if Big George is still there to help Alberto Contador, Levi Leipheimer, and Jaroslav Popovic.
Well, this is proving to be, we don't talk a lot about the teammates, but it's been a very close battle between the 4 teams from home. Straight since we left London. Astana were the team leaders for the first few days, and coming back yesterday in the time trial.
Well, I shouldn't have said Jaroslav Popovic, because race radio just crackled with the name of Popovic struggling at the back of the group.
The two riders in trouble on this climb, I think. Big names are beginning to struggle right now. 1 kilometre to go to the summit now. Which one of these will get it? My number will go number 78, Albert Chiruga. He's still the man who is ahead. This will be Kaczynski. You know he's not ahead anymore. They've just gone over the top of him. He's just about got room to get round that corner. That was a nasty thing to do. That's the steepest way around the bend. Thomas Dekker brings the field around. Good tempo riding. There is only 4 riders in front now, so a 5th place sprint here. And the polka dot jersey being worn. Now Chiruga is sitting in 12th place after his escapades the other day. And he gets quite a number of points here at the top.
20 points he could get at the top, and that would catapult him right up into 4th position in that competition. And let's not forget, it's double points on the final climb of the day, so there's a nice 40 points at store for the first rider who gets to the summit of the Plateau de Bay.
Which wouldn't give him the lead tonight, but will put him in a great place for taking it tomorrow if he's got the legs left. But right now it is Juan Soler who is looking to become the outright leader in the King of the Mountains, and that means Rasmussen loses that jersey tonight because Soler is right there, about 4 men down behind the yellow jersey, and we'll see if he goes for the points.
Well, Team Rabobank are a team transformed and transcending themselves because of the yellow jersey in their squad. Thomas Dekker here is riding the best that I've ever seen him ride, Phil, whereas from the man in second place as well, Michael Bogart. He's never really been a great mountain climber. He's a great one-day classics rider, but here he too, it knows it's important for him to be in presence and in contact with the race leader, Michael Rasmussen.
Camera's gone back a little way down the road with Alexander Vinokurov, who is nose now, and he's just got to hope he can get back into this race. The bye-bye isn't too encouraging though, is it? I think he's saying to us he's out for the day here.
I think he just wants to be left alone to suffer in silence. No rider going through this kind of purgatory wants it to be completely and utterly recorded by the press all around the world. And for Alexander Vinokurov, I think he would feel a lot more comfortable, Phil, suffering in silence.
There's the race up towards the summit now. This has been a very steep and difficult climb, eliminating rider after rider with just tempo riding. And there he goes, the boy. It's in fact Ruben Perez who's going to go up first. And it looks as though his teammate is not going to challenge him. Taruga, they deservedly go over the top first and second. And a good ride by Antonio Colom as well. Now they're looking for paper to stuff up the jerseys to keep out the chill wind on the descent.
Well, I tell you one thing, Phil, you better fasten your seatbelt now because the early part of this descent is fairly fast and not technical at all. But once we get down towards the outskirts of Axleterre, it is a very scary descent. And I remember in the history of the past Tour de France in this area, we've seen some pretty nasty accidents on the downhill.
And the peloton are just over a kilometre back of those leading four riders now. As we again look at riders in trouble, this will be Dmitry Fofanov. Now he's also dropped off the back. At 50 kilometres to go to the summit now, you can count them all. And this rider from CSC here is Indigo Cuesta. As he also is normally a good climber, he's lost. One by one they're being dispatched. There is no longer even 24 riders in the group. And we're coming up here on Mayo. I think that's Mayo, isn't it?
Well, I thought it was, but it isn't. Fortunately, it is Mayo. He is the man who's come backwards and the man who David Miller completely and utterly assassinated himself for. And now Ivan Mayo is having a hard time. But look at this, your man, Maurizio Soler is going.
And all he needs is this sprinter to take the lead in that jersey he's wearing on loan from Rasmussen. And he did this in the Alps. He got this incredible turn of speed. He crawls all over his bicycle. He's not really a very experienced cyclist, but he certainly can show boys in the Tour de France how it's done in the mountains. His first tour as well. Look at him working the gears there. Looks over his shoulder. He can take it easy now.
Well, he can take it easy. Just let's not forget, this is his first ever crack at the Tour de France, and I don't think Team Saunier Deval are going to be very happy this evening because Ivan Mayo, who got his team on the front to do all of the pacemaking, has gone pop.
Trying now just to hold on to the tail of him. He will get back on the descent and he might recover. But just looking down, there's been no reaction there from Thomas Dekker or Michael Bogart. So this gets rid of the polka dot jersey off the shoulders of Michael Rasmussen, who has to concentrate on winning the Tour de France just now. Solar sits there in 22nd place today. But this rider isn't thinking of that position. He's now got himself the real lead in the King of the Mountains.
This guy did not start riding a bike until he was 17 years of age. He went out to see a local bike race in the area where he's from, of Boyacá in Colombia, and thought, I like this, I'll try this. And a couple of years later, they came back and won the Tour of Boyacá. And now he is the outright leader of the King of the Mountains, Phil, in the Tour de France.
Well done to Mauricio Soler. So the peloton now, what's left of the peloton is in a small group. Quick count, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. About 19 or 20 riders have gone over in this group together. And that is all. And they've got rid of a lot of big names at the same time now. Wait and see if, in fact, Vinokurov can get back. There's the climb result for you. 20 points for Perez, but watch out. Points gained there by Soler means this now. He's got 10 points clear of Rasmussen in the King of the Mountains, but it's double points on the last climb of the day, so it could change yet, and it could go back to Michael Rasmussen here. I think they're building up for a major explosion when the road goes up in the last 16 kilometres of the day today. These four riders, of course, might even start to pull away for a few minutes over the field. They're only going down at 20 miles an hour, which is rather slow at the minute. 42 kilometres from the finish. We're looking at riders going over the top as well as the riders go down here at high speed. 4 leaders, Paul, they might increase the lead for the next few minutes. Now, look at that, 90 kilometres an hour. So we're going down now at not far short of 60 miles an hour here.
56 miles an hour to be exact, and although race radio had said that Iban Mayo had made contact, you get a chance to see what contact is like on a descent. He hasn't quite gone onto the slipstream of the riders in front of him, but he hasn't yet also reached the very technical part of this course, because once we get to about 5 kilometres to go to Axley Term, it really is a very tricky descent that winds its way down the cliff into the centre of town.
Well, look at this descent going down here now. He's going to get on quickly. Well, as we watch Iban Mayo here, just about reach a flying peloton now. I don't know where we got that 20 mile an hour from, as you know. Let's listen back in with Johan. What's he saying?
Okay, George, and people are coming back, and they have one.
He's saying that Popo, he means Jaroslav Popovic, is coming back to the leading group and carrying bottles for the riders up front. The riders up front are Levi Leipheimer and Alberto Contador. So they know that Popovic is coming back and drinks are on the way. What a relief. They've just gone through Axley Term. They've got about 13 kilometres of flat valley road now, no more buildings as they race towards the plateau. Then they turn left and then the race to the finishing line is on. The lead is now going through the centre, and that has grown tremendously, that peloton, but although we clock speeds of up to 80 and 90 kilometres an hour, they got back on, and that group now has got to be 45 strong.
It's a big group. They'll slow down now. They'll try and figure out what they're going to do for the approach to the climb. They're not too worried about the riders up front. Of the riders in the leading group of 4, the best rider is Jose Ivan Gutierrez at 15 minutes and 21 seconds. But Carlos Barreto has made a phenomenal descent. He's taken all kinds of risks. He's at about 10 seconds. And the fact that they pulled all the cars out of the gap there, you can see he's about to catch up.
Well, Barreto was with the group, so he must have come right back into it here. I'm very surprised he's getting back, but he's going to get back, so 5 riders should start the last climb. We're looking here at George Hincapie now, is also driving back into the group. Thomas Decker is there doing the hard work. Cole of Austria for Gerolsteiner. Bit of a runny nose for the yellow jersey, or was in sweat, but he hasn't put a wheel wrong yet today, Michael Rasmussen, and I'm sure Paul is going to try and hurt these boys on the climb. Well, that was a huge effort. A few deep breaths required now. 25 kilometres for the peloton, Paul. Nice to see Barreto's made it, and just in time to go off the back, I would think. He can't be far from turning left to go up the mountain.
Well, at least by making junction with that leading group of 4 riders, swelling the number to 5, he can have an easy ride down the valley road and doesn't have to worry too much about battering his head against the wind, because as you said earlier on a number of occasions, Phil, the wind at the summit of this climb is a very strong headwind, and that I think is going to create a lot of havoc once the riders try to attack this ascent.
The bunch has just started to climb. Immediately they started to climb. George Hincapie swung off the front. The gap now is opening up. Cerudo has gone away at the front. 2 minutes 16 Paul. Cerudo's still away, and the peloton. I've just got this feeling that Rasmussen is waiting for his moment now. He's still got 2 teammates. This is Michael Bogert.
He's going to use his teammates as much as possible. Look at the face of Denny Menchov there on the right-hand side, one of complete and utter concentration. Taruka in the leading group is battling with his machine, battling with his body. He's all over, and he's just cracked Gutierrez.
Well, listen, I don't think he has. Gutierrez has gone back in. It looked like he had. But Taruka, first-time tour rider, a young lad, is really wanting to win this stage, and he's going to get all the support. You won't believe the support for the Basque on his climb. They recognise him. It's largely Spanish speakers now. You can see on the road the name of Contador. That's the rider they think could win. And poor old Carlos Barreto, he just gets on. He's got off, he's got back, now he's gone again.
Well, that's the tough thing about the tour. You know, even if you're involved in a big battle on one of the stages, when you get to a mountaintop finish like this one, you've still got to drag your body
them, so they're not helping him now. This is back in the main field here now, as we can, this is Paolo Sabadelli here. I think he's just about dropped from the group. He's behind.
He's riding there with Charlie Wagelius. Wagelius has stayed in the group for as long as possible to help Manuel Beltran. And Manuel Beltran has also been dropped for the group, and that's a bit of a surprise.
The same for the race now is 2 minutes 5, accept 2-4, that's good enough for us. As we're now seeing one after one, this is Thomas Decker, done a brilliant job for his team now. And that's an acceleration by Antonio Colum now. So the young man, Ahmed Shiruka, can he react? He's now getting a little bit of his own medicine, he's trying to get back on.
Well, look at him, he's the slightest built rider in the whole of the peloton of the Tour de France. And you can hear from the side of the room where they're all shouting, venga, 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 they want this man to go. Spain has turned out to support the Tour de France, and they're being treated to 3 Spanish riders battling it out at the front.
But at the moment we're operating 2 Tours de France here. These are the boys who won the stage win. They're too far behind to win the race. 2 minutes behind them are the guys, all of them except Vinacura, who can win the race in Paris. These 3 are Spanish, a very special reason to be here at this point of the course, because over the top you can just see Spain.
Well, you can see Spain. If you look the other way, you can also see the Principality of Andorra, and what that means is you're right in the heart of the Pyrenees. This young man, he gave so much this afternoon, but I think the power has disappeared because Antonio Colom has flown around the corner. But what's more important is if you look at the top, you've got 13 kilometres to go, and you've got 1 minute and 57, then all of a sudden you realise the main field is starting to pull their way back.
Antonio Colom here, he got a little bit tired, I think, of Chiruka throwing all those punches at him. So he decided to lift the acceleration, but as long as he could hold it to crack him, now he'll settle back down into his own climbing rhythm. Back to the leaders with the yellow jersey. Look at the field behind now, again, beginning to thin out here. Inigo Cuesta, Frank Schleck's group, by the way, has been dropped. Have you seen Paulo Sastre?
No, Paulo Sastra's in this group here. He's very comfortable. Frank Schleck is in a group 5 minutes behind. While we look here at Jaroslav Popovic, Inigo Cuesta disappearing from the group. He was in the group of his leader, Carlos Sastre, but now his work has been done. And moving a little bit further up, we can see other riders are disappearing from the group. This rider here is going to be Moses Duenas Nevada from Agri-Tubel, and
That's
also going back to Kirkin.
And that's more important. He sits in 10th place overall. And Kim has been riding extremely well. Champion of Luxembourg last year. But it looks as though he has hung up from the train. This is becoming a very, very crucial group.
Well, this is Christian Vanderbilt, that's Jens Voigt. Can you imagine that Jens Voigt is still in this group?
No, it must be the second group, because we must have dropped down a group here. As they split away from the field here, they're all going off the back of the leading group now. So too is Carpets. They are all unhitching now, and it's under the pressure at the front of Rabobank. This is Menchov.
Menchov followed by Alberto Contador, followed by Michael Rasmussen. Andres Kloden looking comfortable over to the left-hand side in the pink and black jersey is Cadel Evans. Michael Bogard has done his job, but he doesn't want to give up. He knows that if you're in the yellow jersey, you may need some assistance, so he's going to try and stay there for as long as possible. Now it's Chris Horner's turn to be unhitched.
Chris Horner is showing signs of cracking as we go through the field here. Mayo again, who got back on the descent, is not coming up with the goods at the most crucial stage of the day. Each and every one of the riders are now slipping away. And Harma Zubeldia is the rider in orange here. He also is dropping off, and he was also holding a fairly high place overall. He was 18th in the Tour de France.
Aymar Zubeldia would hope to ride well in the Pyrenees. This is the terrain of Team Euskaltel-Euskadi as we move forward to see what sort of damage is being done here. This is Alejandro Valverde, also individually. Don't please let me do this in silence. There is Mikel Astrolosa just in front of him, and I wouldn't be surprised to see just a little bit further forward Oscar Pereira as well.
Well, we're looking here. Don't forget that Astrolosa was dropped on the previous climb. Now he's gone. There's Pereiro, number 11, the 2 top boys on Case de Pont. Look at each other and say, we're in trouble here, because it's all down to Jaroslav Popovic, who was dropped on the previous climb, came back with the drinking bottles, and is now doing George Hincapie's job on the climb.
Carlos course, Sastre is in this group. He's doing what he's done so well since the start of the fall, just sitting there. He's in 5th position there, just behind the yellow jersey. Cadell Evans is on the other side of the yellow jersey, riding comfortably, sitting in the back of the group. You can see Levi Leipheimer is very much in contest as well.
2 minutes, don't forget, they're slowly but surely catching the leaders up front. That's not their target. They're trying to set a tempo to break the others. No signs of distress for Rasmussen nor Cadell Evans on the far left.
What about the Jaroslav Popovic? This is Mikel Astrolos, who started the day in 8th place in the overall classification. He wants to try and stay there for Spain if he can, and he's trying to pull himself back into this group. He may well survive, but I reckon Jaroslav Popovic is doing a phenomenal job. There is Levi Leipheimer just at the back. Popovic was dropped on the Porte de Payerne, and all of a sudden he realises we've got a chance to win this stage.
Andres Cloden taking a drink, not looking in any trouble. He's the leader of the team now, and he knows it. Watch out for Juan the Soler, 219. He doesn't ride very gracefully, but he certainly flies up mountains. He can go with anything, and somebody's accelerating. This is interesting, but Sastre's got to get on the wheel here. Sastre is dropping to the back.
Well, the first acceleration came from Popovic, and then it was applied by Michael Bogert, who we saw going to the back of the group. Then all of a sudden realising, and it looks as if that acceleration from Michael Bogert has put Denny Menchov into trouble, because Menchov is now popped off the back.
We are down to 10 principal players in the Tour de France on the climb up to the plateau. Menchov, who said he was coming back to form in the time trial, but he would dedicate all of his help to the yellow jersey Rasmussen. That's what he's done. He's paying for the price now. This is Cloden sitting at the back, not looking as cool as he's looked for the last couple of days in this race. Sastre's number 31, number 11 is Levi Leipheimer. The white jersey is Contador, the pink jersey is Cadell Evans. And this man would worry me.
He would worry me a lot. He said, would you like a drink, my mate? And no, all right, well, let's carry on. This is unbelievable to see this rider doing this.
What's he doing?
He's phenomenal. He's
Anybody
great.
told him he rides for Bowler World, not
Phil,
for...
I tell you what, he's never been in a situation like this. He's never been in a big bike race like this, and he just wanted to share a bottle of water with the yellow jersey. He was trying to show friendship, trying to show camaraderie, but watch it, because when we get to the summit of the climb, he might give him a little dig.
Well, I'll tell you what, that will also work psychologically against Rasmussen. This guy's feeling good, he'll think, and doesn't want his water. Now is Valverde getting back here with Pereiro, there's Arroyo trying to get back in, but this is amazing. The Case de Palm team has seemed so strong in the first week, now in all sorts of trouble. Valverde, I think, lost his chance anyway yesterday, but I'm sure he came out today hoping to climb back into the Tour de France standings.
He certainly did. He was riding with courage for Spain, but you can see almost the top end of Case de Palm being blown away. Oscar Pereiro there, number 11, second overall last year, but David Arroyo, who went off the mountains on one of the Alpine stages, is trying to pace the two leaders back into this race and hope they don't lose too much time before the summit. We're kind of forgetting about the race in front, because the leaders of the race, Antonio Colom, is still 2 minutes ahead of the yellow jersey.
Well, I don't think the club is going to hang on here too much longer, because he doesn't like the pace being dictated to, as Sastre also in trouble. Let's get back down to Johan.
Come on, stop it. Clean this drop. That's right.
Gleason, that's why I don't like the radios. I don't agree with that, but there we are. We're now seeing him, telling him that Cloden is in trouble, so he's going to go a little bit harder and try and break him at the back of the line. Just looking here, Johan Marie on the radio just told Popovic that Cloden has been dropped. That's why I don't like the radios, Paul. As we're now seeing Cloden unhitch at the back, and Popovic tried a little bit harder. Very shortly, Popovic will be dropped, but he'll have done his job. 10 kilometres to go. We say 9.5.
Well, we say 9.5, and they've come through that 10 kilometre to go point, and they're going again, Phil, to the steeper part of this climb. Is going to kick up again to around about 8.8%. Still, this is turning out to be a very select group of riders. There you can see on the front, Popovic, Contador, Rasmussen, Cadell Evans, Kashakin, all of the big names, and popped in there just on the side there is Levi Leipheimer, still looking very comfortable and still well up there.
Let's get on the radio and tell Popovic Cloden isn't dropped, he's on the back.
Well, you know, Cloden is a strong rider, don't ever forget, he's finished second, hurting quite a bit, because he crashed pretty dramatically in the time trial yesterday, but still managed to finish in 3rd place.
Well, I thought they dropped Who is getting unhitched with Carlos Sastre? You know, we always say it, but the Pyrenees are different to the Alps. Bodies always react differently. Levi Leipheimer said the Pyrenees is where I'm going to go. And he's in that little group now. They've got Cloven in difficulty, but he refuses to be finished off.
Well, he will not give up. He'll fight his way back into this race as much as he can. He started the day in 4th place in the overall classification, but what a performance that's being done there by the man at the front, Jaroslav Popovic. And I tell you what, Beto Contador has come out back into the group as well.
Well, Popovic is doing the ride of his life. The man who was dropped on the previous mountain came back and is now doing the job of a super domestic and still hanging on there. He's just hanging in his Andrews Club. Even the greatest athletes suffer like they've never suffered before when they ride in and to stay in contact with the world. To limit his losses here as the pressure goes on again. I would say that the boys in that little cluster from that cluster
before tomorrow or Tuesday.
Decided with a remark like that because certainly they'll prove to be the strongest men in the tour here this afternoon. Denny Mitchell has been a strong man, but he was a strong man for Michael Rasmussen. Rasmussen has not shown any signs at all of weakness, but Team Case Stefania here this afternoon with Alejandro Valverde and Oscar Pereiro have been thrown out to the bike race. They are losing currently a minute on the yellow jersey group.
Well, it looks speed has told us everything here. This man is in trouble, Valverde. Rasmussen is not in trouble. He's cool, he's riding like a great climber, but what is happening, and there was a little switch there with Carlos Sastre. What I'm trying to say, Popovic is gone, but what a ride he's done. He'll be slapped on the back, and now it's a move by Levi to stretch him, and look who's going. Mauricio Sola straight on the wheel, the man I believe will win the stage today, and he's marked by the yellow jersey.
Well, he accelerated immediately. Great job of work by 118 to Jaroslav Popovic, but the sad thing is you work hard by that. Contador's gone.
It's the old Discovery 1-2. Levi goes, Contador takes up the gritting in the face by Carlos Sastre, who looked to be in trouble, but he's gone. Rasmussen's answered, Cadell Evans' answered. 4 men going clear.
And Juan Mauricio Soler was grappling himself back up to the tail of these riders. Cloden now has no way at all of responding to these accelerations. Shaken has got 2.
This ball is a race of great cyclists who are throwing everything at
That's